Let me ask you something. If your income stopped tomorrow, no warning, no time to prepare, just gone, how long could you actually survive? A week? Maybe 2? Most people do not want to think about that question. So they do not. They tell themselves it will not happen to them. And then life happens. A medical bill they did not see coming. A phone or laptop breaking at the worst possible time. A car or bike repair. A sudden job loss. A family emergency. And suddenly, the only option is borrowing money, using a credit card, or making desperate financial decisions just to get through the month. Here's the truth nobody talks about enough. The difference between a financial setback and a financial disaster is usually one thing: an emergency fund. Not a high income, not a side hustle, not even investing. Just money you have set aside, sitting quietly, waiting for the moment life goes sideways. Today, we are going to talk about what an emergency fund actually is, how much you really need, where to keep it, and exactly how to build one, even if you feel like you have nothing left to save. Let's get into it. So, what exactly is an emergency fund? An emergency fund is money you set aside specifically for unexpected, necessary expenses. Not a vacation you forgot to plan for. Not a new phone just because yours feels old. Not a random sale that feels too good to miss. Real emergencies, the kind of things that could genuinely disturb your financial life if you were not prepared. Think job loss, a serious medical situation, a laptop breaking when you need it for work or study, urgent transportation repairs, a family crisis that needs immediate attention. Now here's the important distinction. An emergency fund is not your normal savings. It is not your investment money. It is not money you are trying to grow fast. It is your financial firewall. Its only job is to protect you from going into debt when life does not go according to plan. And that is what makes it powerful. Because when you have one, you stop making decisions from panic. You get to stay calm. You get to think clearly. And you get to protect everything else you are trying to build. Quick question before we move on. Do you currently have an emergency fund? Drop a yes or no in the comments. No judgment. Just curious where everyone is starting from. So, how much should you actually save? This is where most people get confused. They hear different numbers everywhere. 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, sometimes even more. So here's the simple version. A good target is 3 to 6 months of your essential living expenses. Not your total income. Your essential expenses. The things you absolutely need to pay every month. Rent, food, utilities, transportation, insurance, minimum debt payments, basic medical needs, anything that keeps your life stable. So if your essential monthly expenses are around $1,500, then your emergency fund target would be somewhere between $4,500 and $9,000. If your essential expenses are around $2,500 per month, then your target would be around $7,500 to $15,000. But remember, the exact number depends on where you live, your lifestyle, your responsibilities, and how stable your income is. 3 months is a good starting point. 6 months gives you stronger breathing room. Now, when should you aim for the higher end? If your income changes every month, aim higher. If you support your family, aim higher. If it would take you longer to find a new job, aim higher. If you have people depending on you, aim higher. If unexpected medical costs are a real possibility, aim higher. But before you start stressing about the full number, start with a smaller first goal. Start with $1,000. That is your starter emergency fund. No, $1,000 will not solve every problem, but it can protect you from many common emergencies: a small repair, a short income gap, an urgent bill, a sudden expense you did not plan for. It is not the destination, but it is the first checkpoint. And that first checkpoint matters because it breaks the habit of reaching for debt every time life gets uncomfortable. Now let's talk about where you should keep your emergency fund. This is a question more people should ask, because the wrong place can create two problems. Either the money becomes too easy to spend, or too difficult to access when you actually need it. First, do not invest your emergency fund. Not in stocks, not in crypto, not in risky assets, not in anything that can suddenly fall in value. The whole point of this money is safety and access. Markets go up and down. The last thing you want is to need your emergency fund during a bad market and be forced to sell at a loss. Second, do not keep it mixed with your everyday spending money. If your emergency fund sits in the same account you use for food, shopping, subscriptions, and daily expenses, there is a high chance it slowly disappears. Not because you are careless, but because money without separation gets used. So where should it go? A separate savings account. Ideally, an account that is safe, easy to access, and gives you some interest. You are not trying to get rich from this account. That is not the purpose. The purpose is to keep the money protected, separate, and available when you need it. Here is what you should look for: a reputable bank or financial institution, government-regulated protection, depending on your country, easy access within a short time, no unnecessary monthly fees, and separation from your everyday spending account. That last point is important. A little friction is useful. You should be able to access the money in an emergency, but not so easily that you use it for random shopping. Some people keep a small part of their emergency fund instantly available, and the rest in a savings product that is still safe and accessible within a reasonable time. That can work, but the main rule is simple: safe, separate, accessible. Your emergency fund is not there to maximize returns. It is there to buy peace of mind. So how do you actually build an emergency fund? Here is where most people get stuck. They understand why an emergency fund matters. They agree it is important. But then they say, "I barely have money left at the end of the month. How am I supposed to build this?" So let us make it practical. Step 1. Know your number. Calculate your essential monthly expenses. Not your dream lifestyle, not your total spending. Just the basics: food, rent, bills, transportation, insurance, minimum debt payments, anything you cannot avoid. Once you know that number, multiply it by 3. That is your first major target. Then multiply it by 6. That is your stronger long-term target. Write those numbers down, because a goal you have not written down is just a wish. Step 2. Open a separate account. Before you save a single dollar, create a separate place for this money. It could be a savings account. It could be a separate digital bank account. It could be any safe financial account available in your country. The important thing is that it should not be mixed with your everyday spending. Name it clearly if your bank allows it. Emergency fund. Do not touch. Safety money. Something that reminds you what this money is for. Step 3. Automate a fixed amount. Set up a regular transfer into your emergency fund whenever you get paid. Even $25, even $50, even $100. The amount matters less than the consistency. Because the goal is not to become perfect overnight. The goal is to build the habit. Automatic saving works because it removes the decision. You do not have to feel motivated. You do not have to remember. It just happens. And when your income grows, you can increase the amount. Step 4. Use extra income wisely. Whenever extra money comes in, send part of it to your emergency fund. A work bonus, freelance income, gift money, a side hustle payment, cashback, a one-time payment you were not expecting. You do not have to put all of it away. But even putting 30%, 40%, or 50% into your emergency fund can speed up the process. Step 5. Make temporary cuts. Not forever, just temporarily. For the next 60 to 90 days, look at your spending and ask one question. What can I pause for now? Maybe one subscription. Maybe eating out less often. Maybe delaying one unnecessary purchase. maybe choosing a cheaper option for a few weeks. This is not about making your life miserable. It is about making a short-term trade-off for long-term peace. Once your starter emergency fund is ready, you will feel different. Not rich, not finished, but safer. And those feeling matters. Before we wrap up, let's look at the biggest mistakes people make. There are a few mistakes that stop people from building a real emergency fund. Mistake number 1, investing before having any emergency fund. Investing is important. Building wealth matters. But if you have no emergency cushion and something goes wrong, you may be forced to sell investments at the wrong time or take on expensive debt. Build at least a starter emergency fund first, then focus more heavily on investing. Mistake number 2, using the emergency fund for non-emergencies. A sale is not an emergency. A vacation is not an emergency. A lifestyle upgrade is not an emergency. Your emergency fund has one job: to protect you when something unexpected and necessary happens. If you use it for something that is not a real emergency, refill it as fast as possible. Mistake number 3, giving up because the goal feels too big. $5,000, $10,000, or $15,000 can sound impossible when you are starting from zero. But you are not trying to save it all at once. You are building it one step at a time. Someone saving $200 a month can build a $3,000 starter fund in 15 months. No magic, no extreme sacrifice, just consistency. Mistake number 4, keeping it somewhere you cannot access quickly. Some savings products lock your money for a fixed time. They might offer better returns, but if your emergency happens next week and your money is locked away, that creates a new problem. Your emergency fund should be liquid. That means you can access it quickly when you genuinely need it. Mistake number 5, keeping it too close to your daily spending. If the money is too easy to touch, you will be tempted to use it. That is why separation matters. Not because you cannot trust yourself, but because smart systems beat willpower. Now I'm curious, which of these mistakes feels closest to home for you? Using savings for non-emergencies? The goal feeling too big? Investing before having a cushion? Or keeping the money too close to daily spending? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. Here's a simple bonus tip that can make managing your emergency fund even easier. Once your emergency fund starts growing, you can use a simple 2-bucket strategy. Bucket 1 is your quick access money. This could be 1 month of essential expenses in a savings account that you can access fast. This is for urgent situations. Bucket 2 is your backup layer. This is the rest of your emergency fund, still kept in safe and low-risk savings options, but maybe not as instantly accessible. The goal is not to chase high returns. The goal is to keep your money safe while still giving yourself access when life gets messy. But remember, this is not step 1. Step 1 is simple. Save your first $1,000, then 1 month of expenses, then 3 months, then 6. Do not overcomplicate it before you have even started. So, here's the biggest takeaway from everything we've covered today. Here is what I want you to walk away with today. An emergency fund is not just some boring financial rule. It is a decision to stop letting unexpected events control your life. It is the thing that keeps a bad month from turning into a bad year. And the best part? You do not need to be rich to build one. You just need a number, a separate account, and a consistent habit. Remember the question I asked at the beginning? If your income stopped tomorrow, would you panic? Or would you have enough time to breathe? That is what an emergency fund gives you. Not just money, time, options, peace of mind. Start with $1,000, then 1 month of expenses, then 3, then 6, one step at a time. But start today. If this gave you something to think about, like this video, it helps Money Era reach more people who need to hear this. And if you want honest, no-fluff content about money, investing, and building real financial security, subscribe to Money Era. No fake promises. Just real talk about real money. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, take Take care and have a great day.